Welcome to today's news on TV9. I'm Ada Show. In today's local news, the immigration manager responded to hot issues concerning international students and their visas in our TV9 studio, while the Auckland Council prepares a campaign aiming to keep fuel tax as an option. And let our reporter inform you more of what's going on for this year's Miss Chinese Cosmo pageants. The government has reviewed some details about the formerly known charter school plans. Even with a new name, the plan still attracts criticism rather than supports. Kay Chow has more.
The debatable policy is widely advertised with aims to reduce the number of underserved by the current system. But teachers and other educational organisations like QPEC are saying the New Zealand model of charter school does not deliver education to those who are failing in the system now. Professor Stuart McNaughton gave his sights on partnership schools, where he believes the policy has its place in other countries like the United States, but does not necessarily suit the New Zealand context.
In the American context, some charter schools do very well, particularly where they're well resourced and there's a very strong focus on the curriculum. Some charter schools don't do so well, so there's a mixture of results. It depends which jurisdictions you look at.
Formerly known as charter schools, the policy aims to foster a close relationship between the sponsor, community and government, giving local boards plenty leeway to exercise control in schools and involve private sectors in education, most of which are already in place.
There are already business partnerships with the state schools as well. So I really like the idea of gathering together our resources, including private resources, to target those areas that we need more funding for, but it doesn't seem to me that charter schools as such will necessarily achieve that any better than what we've currently got.
So the question is, how can partnership schools be successful in our current education system?
I'm very keen, if the charter schools will be put in place, that they be fully evaluated, that they be systematically and rigorously checked, and I think the Prime Minister has committed the New Zealand system to doing that, so that we know whether those attributes of the charter schools that are put in place do make a difference.
Private sectors and charitable trusts are welcoming the change for the opportunities it offers and the possibilities it brings. Kay Chow, 9 News.
Immigration New Zealand General Manager Peter Elms was in the TV9 studio yesterday. He responded to the hot issues of student fees disparity and the outsourcing of application processing despite the recent scandal of fraudulent student visas. Christy Jar reports.
Chinese students make up a large portion of foreigners wanting to study English in New Zealand, but it's been reported that they are having to pay higher fees than those coming from the Middle East or South America. One language school is charging Chinese, Korean and Vietnamese students $2,250 for a 12-week English language course, but students from Japan, Brazil and Saudi Arabia are charged only $1,500. Immigration New Zealand General Manager Peter Elms says his agency is not responsible for setting tuition fees, but he is concerned about the alleged disparity based on student nationalities.
There's certainly no intention from a government perspective to differentiate between different groups, and it's obviously the export education sector for New Zealand is a very important sector, and Asia is a very important region to help grow that sector.
When asked about last month's student visa fraud scandal, Elms says it was an organized and cynical attempt to circumvent immigration's control, but officials have also learned a lesson.
So what we've done is we've learnt from that. We've recognised that we need to make some changes to the front end of the process. We do have controls in place, and indeed those controls did work in the Beijing scenario because they picked up the fraud. But we do need to have controls in place that mean that the decision-making process needs to go through several different iterations, so that one person or two people have not got control of that decision.
Immigration New Zealand is looking to outsource more immigration applications, but Elms says outsourcing is just one component of the agency's operating model, and it's only for the lodgement of applications, so decisions about those applications will still be made onshore. Christy Zhao, 9 News.
The Defence Force has named the 2 soldiers killed in Afghanistan last Saturday night. Lance Corporal Prowley Dura and Lance Corporal Roy Malone, both 26, were killed when they went to the aid of ambushed Afghan police in Bamiyan province, of 6 other soldiers from the Provincial Reconstruction Team injured. The Auckland Council is fighting to keep the regional fuel tax as an option to help paying for transport projects such as the City Rail Link. Transport Minister Drew Brownlee has rejected the idea of fuel taxes before, but the councils are arming themselves with researchers that claim to prove the government's wrong. Christy Zhao reports.
Auckland is trying to build a $2.6 billion underground railway scheme. It also has a $10 billion to $15 billion transport funding gap to fill over the next 30 years. So the council is trying to come up with different options to pay for the project, and one of them is the regional fuel tax.
I think it's a very fair way because it's related directly to the extent to which people use our roads, cause congestion among other things, and therefore make it necessary to build more roads and to provide better rail and better public transport.
But the government has openly shot down the idea of using tolls or regional fuel tax to pay for the City Rail Link, although Northeast says researches have been done to alleviate any concerns.
It's the main reasons the government has given for being opposed to it don't apply, not really true, like that people will drive out of the region to avoid the tax, and that always seemed a bit silly, and that's been confirmed. That it's not related to the cause of the problem, but motorists and truck drivers do help cause it, and it's fair enough that they pay a share of these costs. That it was going to be costly to administer, that a lot of it go into administration, that was shown not to be true either.
Northey hopes the government will have an open mind about having a mix of ways to pay for better public transport and roads. He says a regional fuel tax is even fairer than tolling as it relates to the actual distance people use the roads. Christy Zhao, 9 News.
Logistics giants FedEx began this week's direct freight services connecting New Zealand with the US, Australia and China. The global giant says the weekly service will help boost trade in those major markets. Christy Zhao reports.
FedEx has launched the first express transportation service to fly directly between New Zealand and the US. An MD-11 aircraft will be used to carry 79 tons of freight on the route connecting Los Angeles, Honolulu, Auckland, Sydney and Guangzhou, shortening the time New Zealand customers have to wait for delivery and increasing freight capacity for trade.
FedEx sees market access and global trade as key components to business growth and job creation, and what this flight will do is connect New Zealand to the US, Australia and China, its 3 major trading partners.
FedEx Australasia Managing Director Kim Garner says the company has a wide customer base in New Zealand who import a lot of high-value products, and many of them are small to medium enterprises who make up 40% of New Zealand's total output. Garner says the surge of online shopping has also played a part in increasing the demand for parcel shipping, but new trends in delivery timeframes were contributing as well.
It's more complex than just internet shopping. Obviously the world is changing. Online is becoming a much bigger factor, but because we have such a wide customer base, we also servicing quite a lot of industry, as I said, quite a lot of the small and medium enterprises.
Garner says the company is continually looking to enhance its network and provide customers with better connectivity to the rest of the world. FedEx currently delivers to more than 220 countries and territories with annual revenue of $52 billion. Christy Zhao, 9 News.
More heavy rain will set in today and remain in place until Thursday as twin lows move in from the Tasman Sea. With several different weather systems to come, it's best to keep the rain gear close to hand. Beauty has been the composition of various attributes and differs from time and culture. And for the Miss Chinese Cosmo pageants, beauty means it's a marriage of looks and wisdom. Keisha has more.
From sitting, standing and walking, every single move is to be executed with elegance and grace. This is the training session for the Miss Chinese Cosmo pageant contestants. Less than a week till the show, little time is left to make things perfect for the night, and all of the contestants are put to the test, but their excitement and confidence are not diminished.
Oh, I think all of us are bringing a little something to the competition, and we all have our strengths and weaknesses, definitely. I think my particular strength would be in the dancing portion of the competition, just because I'm just been really interested in dancing for most of my life, and I've done a little bit of ballroom and Latin dance, and so that's just the part that really inspires me and that really gets me fired up.
This Sunday, 12th of August, the Miss Chinese Cosmos pageant will be held at Sky City Theatre, Auckland, at 8 p.m, where 11 girls will showcase their beauty and wow the public. A sensational night is expected. Tickets are limited, so be quick. Kay Chow, 9 News.
As for upcoming events, get a taste of real Mexican cuisine from award-winning Mexican chef.
Are you tired of soft tacos dripping out your efforts? Is your family sick of the same dinner every night? Now is the time to spice up your kitchen blues with Mexican chef Luis Cabrera. He will take you through a tasty history of Mexican food and teach how to make the perfect guacamole, tacos, margaritas, and much more. Cabrera himself is excited about the fun you will have in your kitchen after taking his classes.
Well, I want them to discover new ways to prepare authentic Mexican food they haven't even known ever before, and I want them to try authentic flavors and to get home and with very easy tips surprise their guests.
For 2 consecutive weekends, starting this Saturday at 11 a.m, food lovers will get a 2-hour lesson.
What is the truth of Mexican food is that generally it's not spicy. We put salsas in the middle, so everybody can feel free to put as much as they want.
Surrounded by Latin music and the atmosphere, this is a no-brainer event to attend.
Yeah, I want them to get the real side of the story of Mexican food.
Don't miss out on such a fun learning experience to create real Mexican food. For more information, contact Parnell's Community Centre on 09.
Now we have our TV9 host from Asia Focus, Julie Nixon, to comment on home advantage.
When Kathy Freeman came down the home straight to win the gold medal in the 400 metres in the Sydney Olympics in 2000, she had a home advantage. And in 2008, when Chinese athletes topped the medals table in Beijing, they also had a home advantage. In 2012, the Brits certainly have a home advantage, and boy are they making the most of it. In fact, they're having the best Olympics in living memory. They're winning the tight contests and getting ahead where it counts. Jessica Ennis has won the women's heptathlon. The lad from London, Bradley Wiggins, hot on the heels of winning the Tour de France, has won the time trial. That sparked more success in cycling with the likes of Victoria Pendleton and the Kirin. On the track, Great Britain have won the men's long jump, and Mo Farah ran a great race to win the men's 10,000 metres. In rowing, the Brits won 4 gold medals to move ahead of New Zealand in the overall standings at the rowing regatta. They've even won a canoeing gold. But the most astounding win has been in tennis, where Andy Murray has defeated Roger Federer 6-2, 6-1, 6-4. That's a hiding in anybody's books. The victory marked a career breakthrough by Murray. He's lost all 4 of his Grand Slam finals, including 3 against Federer, and 1 of those was Wimbledon this year. Whether the Brits can maintain this momentum and continue to win medals at the next Olympics at Rio de Janeiro in 4 years' time remains to be seen. The Chinese have certainly maintained momentum from Beijing and continue to win medals in events you wouldn't necessarily expect them to. For example, the 20k walk. But one thing we do know is that the Aussies will claim New Zealand's success as their own when it suits them. The Aussie media are combining the total medals of New Zealand and Australia under the headline Oz Zealand, which puts the team from Oceania in the top 10 on the medal table. Team Oceania doesn't need a home advantage, it's having a great Olympic Games.